Yes, guys. So I'm here with my friend Joey Hancock. There he is. Say hi, Joey.
Hey guys.
Boom. For some of you who have been coming to Ziki for a while, you might recognize Joey just with a different haircut and less facial hair. But there it is, guys. Do you remember we've been talking about the home cuts? There's Joey's.
Yeah.
He's played it safe and gone bold.
Well, yeah, it's the safest way. I ain't gonna get a skin fade, am
I? Nice one. So I've known Joey for quite some time. We went to Bible college together where we both got degrees. Luckily, I was through by the skin of my teeth, but there we go. And Joey will tell you some more about what he's up to at the minute, but he's doing some podcast stuff, which goes live on Friday. Yeah, Joey, just tell us a bit about yourself, what you're up to nowadays, and a bit more about that podcast.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, so my name's Joey. I was at Ziki. What's it like? We're talking 4 years ago now. I was at Ziki, and that was a great time. That was a great year. And now, obviously, I finished Bible college, and I'm home in Weston-super-Mare. Whoop 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 whoop, because everyone loves the Western Massive. Gloucester and Weston, we're like that. That's how we are, or how we were at least. Yeah, and now I'm working at a university and helping out at church, doing some youth work at church, which is great. And now I'm starting this new exciting thing. Gonna be starting a Christian podcast with a couple of friends from college. Not like all Bible, all theology, all chatting about Jesus. We're going to chat about some fun stuff. We've got a question coming out. I'm pretty sure if this is going live on Friday, is it going live on Friday?
Yeah, will be.
Yeah, so look, I'm going to let you in on the first question. The first question we're asking each other and the audience. What would be your death row meal? Bit light, nice and light, but what's the last meal that you would have if you could have anything you want? What would it be? And we're gonna fall out. We're gonna fall out on the podcast. So make sure you check us out. Spotify, another Christian podcast. You might not, but do you know what? Up to you. Oh, look at that! He's got the link down below.
Check it out. Yeah, guys, if you want to hear a little bit about Christianity, but also have a laugh about it and just have some fun as well, check out that podcast on Friday because I guarantee it'll be good fun. I know the guys who are doing it. So, yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I thought I'd get Joey on tonight because we've been talking about the Bible. And last week we looked at what the Bible is and the impact that it can have on our lives. But we still know that it can be a bit hard to engage with sometimes just because of the size of it and how long it is and all the different numbers placed there. So yeah, Joey, when you were growing up or when you first became a Christian, did you find it easy to engage with the Bible?
Not at all. Honestly, reading the Bible growing up, going to church and youth and that, really difficult because it's a big book. And a lot of the time you're sat there thinking, have I got to read all of this? Let me be honest with you. I only read through the entire Bible by my second year of Bible college. And I'd been a Christian about 7-8 years at that point. So really, it is a big book. There's a lot to it. And no one tells you that there is easier ways of going about it. They just sort of go, here, read this gospel or read this. But
yeah,
I'll give you a little hint what I'm going to talk about. It's not about the amount that you read. It's about how deep you read. So I'll get into that in a little bit. So exciting stuff. Because the Bible's great.
Cool. Yeah, 100%. And I guess reflecting back, you probably would have benefited from some people kind of showing you different ways to read the Bible and engage with it back in the day rather than learning it 2 years into Bible college or whatever.
Yeah, so when I was your guys' age, as I said, I didn't really know where to go or where to start. I didn't grow up in church, so it's not someone gave me a book and then where do you sort of start? But really, it was sort of stuff like we're doing here. Like, it was people going, you should try reading this, or start with something small. The biggest recommendation I was always given was start with the New Testament. Start with Matthew or John, or if you wanted a shorter gospel, go for Mark. But then even if that feels a bit too long, try one of Paul's letters, like Ephesians. It's only 5 or 6 chapters long, or Philippians, which is a little bit longer, and books like that, just to really get you started with it. But honestly, in the early phases, don't worry too much. Get a bit of Jesus in there, get a bit of the letters in there, get to the Old Testament in a little bit. That was my advice given to me. And you can take a bit of that as well.
There you go. Tip number 1, don't worry about how much you read, guys. It's about what you read and what kind of you take away from the little bit that you read. So feel free to skim through the Bible and find the little books that are in there. That's really... So tell us a little bit about what you mean by it's the depth and not the amount. Like, how, I guess a sentence is a sentence when you're reading it. So how can you go deep into that, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that people tend to like talk about depth when reading, but some people, and this, I struggle with how people do this, but some people can study one verse or one chapter, and they could be like, yeah, I've been studying this chapter for about 6 weeks now. And I'm sat there like, ow, are you reading it once every 2 weeks? Or because I don't know how you're studying it. We all know a pastor. We all know a pastor who's done that. Like, yeah, I'm just really finding myself focusing in on this bit. And I'm like, that's great. Maybe that means they're praying about it and like saying, what's it going to do for this? What's it mean for the church? But that is sort of along the lines of what I'm saying when it comes to depth, is asking, what does that scripture mean? What does that verse mean for you, for those around you, for your family, and for the church and for the world? Like, that is what I mean when you look at the depth of it. There's more to it. And then there's obviously like historic, like connections and that to other parts of the Bible and history and that. You don't need to worry about that really at the moment. Don't worry.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, a summary is depth is applying it rather than just reading it as a normal book. But what could it mean for you, right?
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. So give us a little bit of a hint in how you do that, or how you make that happen, because I guess sometimes it's hard to read a sentence and go, yeah, this is what it means for me, when it's not actually about us. So how do you go about that practically?
Yeah, there's something called, there's a Bible technique which my pastor, his name's Steve, has recently taught me. And I wish that I knew this when I was your age. So listen into this, because you might find that it really helps you. So I'm just going to read it out to you because it's a little bit easier for me then as well. It's called lectio Divina. Now, that's the Latin way of saying it. Doesn't matter too much about that, but it translates to divine reading. Now, when you think of divine, you are thinking about God, or like closer to God, or along that lines, okay? So this is what divine reading means, and I'll walk you through how I'm doing it currently. I'm going through the Psalms one by one, and sort of studying them, but also just reading them. And I'm just doing one Psalm each morning, so I'm not doing that one chapter for a week, or like, you can do it how you want, but this is the basic premise of it. So you start by praying. You start by praying and just saying, God, clear my mind, empty my mind of anything that's not you. And that can take a while. That could take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it can take an hour, depends what you got in your mind. But it's just about stopping and going, I'm here to read my Bible. And then you read the passage out loud to yourself. And then once you've read that passage, just take a minute, breathe, pause, then read it again out loud. But this time, anything that stands out to you, or any verses that stands out to you, just look for them, keep note of them, and then, because we're going to read it again, but keep note of those passages, and then maybe that one or two verse that's sticking out to you, go, God, why is this sticking out to me? Ask God, because God will show you. God's a revealer. And just go, God, what is it that you want me to know in this? What is it that you want me to change in my life? Because that's one way of looking at it. When you read the Bible, you should come away being changed, like slowly, and changing different things in your life. So yeah, pray about those verses. And then you're going to read through it all once more, just out loud, focusing on them ones that you've already said and prayed over, but just going, Lord, use this whole passage. And then you're going to read through it once more, as I've just said. And then at the end, you're just going to stop, a bit like between the first prayer and then reading. Just wait and just ponder, think about the chapter, look at it, read it again, like in your head or whatever, and just look at it and take it in. It's odd and it sounds odd, but it really does help. And then finally, you need to ask yourself the question, how does your life change because of this scripture? How does your life change because of what you've just read? Because as I've just said, whenever you read the Bible, may not be every single time, but gradually our lives should change. So ask yourself the question, what can I change in my life as a result of what I've read? And then you just finish with saying thanks to God. Thank you for revealing that to me. He always loves to be thanked. He loves to be honored in what you're doing. And then he blesses you, because what he's done there is he has blessed you. And when someone gives you a gift, you thank them. And that's it, Max. That's really all there is to it. And it's so simple, confusing at first, but honestly, my time with God and my time with Jesus has never been better.
That's so cool, man. I mean, last week we realized that the Bible is loads of little books written by different people, and that means that kind of they're different styles and stuff. And so like somebody who's more practical might like some of the Old Testament law kind of books, but somebody who's more creative might like some of the Psalms that you were talking about, which are poems and songs. And I guess the good thing about that technique that you've said is that no matter what bit of the Bible you're reading, you can apply it to it as well. Which is super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, thanks for that tip, Joey.
No worries.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to share before we finish in terms of reading the Bible or faith? Or
one massive tip, and this is, it helps massively. I don't do it enough, but it will really help you. And I'm talking to myself as well as I'm looking at the screen. Write it down. Write it all down. Everything you think about or talk with Jesus about, and anything you read and you think, oh, wow, that's really cool. Write it down, because there's going to come a time where you look back through. And if you can't, you'll just remember something a lot better if you write it down. Get a journal, an A4 pad, whatever you want. On your notes on your phone. I know a lot of people keep notes on their phone as their journals. Just keep a diary of what your conversations are like with God and what you think he's saying, but also what you're praying for. People put their prayers into them as well. It will really help. Trust me.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it's like that stage, where you said, look for any of it that stands out to you when you're reading the Bible. Sometimes you might pray afterwards and you don't know why it stood out. It just happened to stand out. Write that Bible verse down, because you could read back like 2 months later and realize that similar things have stood out loads of times. And that's God's way of using repetition to speak to you. And I'm sure you've had loads of times where that's happened, Joey.
Yeah, it does happen. And the thing is as well, another thing to note on it, writing it down is really good, because it lets you know what you've heard, but also maybe someone else, you compare your notes with someone else and they've heard something different. That doesn't mean one of you's wrong, it just means God's talking to you in different ways. And that's a really cool thing, because God's really personal like that. But also another thing to note, and this is something that will help you as well, you're not going to get something on every single chapter or every single verse. Don't worry. I'm going through the Psalms, 4 or 5 Psalms so far that I've read. I've just went, I'm not really getting something from this. And that's completely fine. Just continue doing the process. If you get to the end of it, you don't have anything, maybe have another go the next day. But if not, just move on. Like, there'll always be an opportunity to come back to this. You've got your whole life.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for that helpful info about how you've benefited from reading the Bible in that specific way. And anyone who's watching this tonight, give it a go. Over the next couple of weeks, whatever bit of the Bible that you choose to read, you could even just flip it open to a random page and just read a couple of sentences, one sentence, however much you feel like, but take the time to read it over and over again. And just write some things down, what you think are standing out or which God is highlighting to you guys. And then it's time, have a look back and see if anything matches up. But yeah.
Yeah, great.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Give us another flash of your bald head. I just want to see it so bad.
It's not that bald. It's grown a little bit now. It's the receding that gets me. Look, my head's smiling.
We love it. At least it's not the other way around there.
Yeah, true.
Nice one. Well, guys, be sure to check out that podcast on Friday, or even if you watch it back after Saturday, Sunday, like and subscribe to that channel on Spotify. But it will be a good laugh, so check that one out. But yeah, thanks for your time, Joey.
No worries. It's been great to be here.
And we'll catch you all soon.
See you later.